In this video, I wanted to talk about tanking as D.Va. With her recent nerf to defense matrix, D.Va has fallen a bit in popularity. However, D.Va is still a very viable tank. With 600 health plus armor, she can soak up a lot of damage, and with the addition of missiles, she can also dish out a dangerous amount of damage. D.Va also has high mobility with her boost rockets, making her a great flanker and diver. Her main weakness is that she is a lot less durable than shield tanks like Reinhardt and Orisa. With the nerf to defense matrix, D.Va got demoted from a main tank to an off tank. Compared to Zarya, however, I would say D.Va is a little bit more sturdy. Strengths and weaknesses out of the way, let's talk about playstyles. D.Va has two main styles of play: diving/flanking and frontline soaking. In a typical game, I make use of both styles depending on the current needs of my team / the situation. Diving and flanking is D.Va's forte, but when a game starts, I tend to use the frontline soaking playstyle. This playstyle is pretty self-explanatory in its title. You stand at the front of the team soaking damage while your DPS attempts to get picks on the enemy team. If attacking, your role should be more offensive in nature, using missiles to take out barriers or to punish enemy team members out of position. If you're on the defensive side, you want to make better use of blocking attacks, either with your body or with defense matrix, and try to prevent the attacking team from getting space and pushing. The reason I say D.Va got pushed to an off-tank role is because she is now so effective at the diving/flanking role. If you're single tanking, it can be very dangerous to leave your team alone to dive a far-off widow. It can be done, of course, but it is a risk. The key to diving correctly is patience. Dive too early and the enemy will swarm and kill you. Dive too late and your target will see you coming and escape. As D.Va, it's best to play with your team until you see the opportunity to break through and get to the point, or you'll see an enemy out of position and you can jump them and take them out. When diving, remember to make use of your toolkit. Boost jet to get in fast, but also if the situation turns bad, use them to run back to the safety of your team. Defense matrix appropriately to block skills your target may use to turn the 1v1 in their favor, for example Hanzo's scatter arrow. Also, in the case of characters that do consistent damage rather than bursts, like Bastion or Soldier, using defense matrix in combination with missiles to block damage while also doing a lot of damage is extremely effective. Also remember, you can use boost jets to ram people with your mech, flinging them a short distance backward. You can use this to get environmental kills or to knock people off of the high ground. Now let's talk about best uses for defense matrix. Defense matrix is D.Va's main tanking ability, allowing her to soak up enemy projectiles for 2 seconds or as long as the button is held. It then has a recharge time of 8 seconds when fully depleted, but it also starts to recharge after 1 second. With the nerf, it makes just holding defense matrix to soak damage a bad idea in most cases. In fact, you'll notice when using defense matrix, D.Va actually presses the button on her joysticks in the mechs in time with the ability she is blocking. This, in reality, is how you want to use defense matrix. Use it to block big damaging attacks rather than soaking up a bunch of little stuff. A great way to practice is by soaking Reinhardt's fire strike. He has to drop his shield to cast it, and it's a very visible attack. Pop up your defense matrix when it's about to hit your team, and then let it go. You just saved anyone who would have been hit by it 100 damage and denied the enemy Rein ult charge. Other burst abilities you should try to use a time block like this for are Hanzo's scatter arrow, Junkrat's concussion mine, McCree's flashbang, Soldier's helix rockets, Symmetra's large balls, Tracer's pulse bomb, Zarya's secondary attack, her particle cannon grenade thing. And the beauty of these times attacks is your defense matrix is only up for a short time, so you start recharging it very quickly to use if your teammate or you needs it in an emergency. Now I'm going to list some other great uses for defense matrix, but this is a pretty long list, so stick with me. I tried to list every single ability that you could block per character. So here are the great uses of defense matrix. You can lock down an enemy Ana completely. All of her abilities, including Nano Boost, are soaked by defense matrix. You can absolutely ruin an enemy Ana's day. Diving Bastions and following him around while he's ulting will block a great deal of damage. It doesn't last for the entire ult, but you can save your teammates and also allow the Bastion to take a lot of hits safely by your team. You can block other enemy D.Va's gunfire, but I would recommend using it to block their missiles as it's a burst damage attack. If you are close to a Hanzo, you can block his ult, but it's kind of difficult to be in range of him when he starts to do this. However, just know if you're 1v1ing him and he hits it, you can soak up that ultimate. If a Junkrat is spamming an area with the grenades, you can eat the spam, letting your team get through the area. Be warned though, because your defense matrix will not be off of cooldown to soak up any more damage he does by the time he reloads. If a McCree manages to flashbang a teammate, you can soak up the subsequent damage he would do with defense matrix, subsequently saving your teammate's life. Also, if you time it right, you can soak his ult. Just know that he can wait out your defense matrix and hit it after you're done. May's icicles and her ult can be soaked, but just know her ult, you can only soak it while she's throwing the projectile in the air. If it started the blizzard, you can no longer block it. You can also eat Orissa's halt attack or her gravity ball thing, whatever you want to call it, which can be useful. You can soak everything of Pharah's, including her ult. You can also use time blocks with the timing of her shots. You can block all of Reaper's damaging abilities, as well as his ult. However, Defense Matrix does not last long enough to soak his whole ult anymore. But it does allow your team possible reaction time to get away from the ult. Just know that if you decide to do this, you'll most likely be popped out of mech and possibly killed. You can block Roadhog's primary fire and his ult. You cannot block the chain for hook. However, if he hooks one of your teammates, you can use Defense Matrix to block the subsequent attacks he would use on them to kill them and save them. All of Soldier's damaging abilities are blockable, along with his ult, but once again, Defense Matrix is not long enough to block the entire ult. However, you can make good use of body blocking, say, for your Mercy, as he will not be able to see through you to kill her. Sombra's main attack is blockable. Her transponder and stuff like that, however, is not. Torb's turret and his gun are blockable. I recommend using the same sort of dive, block, missile attack you would with a Bastion on his turret. It works pretty good. But you don't want to do that if his turret's in the middle of the team, because his team will probably kill you in that situation. Just be careful. You can soak all of Tracer's, and of course, like I said earlier, her pit pulse bomb. You have to get her pulse bomb as she's throwing it, so the timing can be tricky, but it is worth it if you catch it. And you can eat any of Zenyatta's attacks, however, you cannot eat his Orb of Harmony or Orb of Discord. And with the addition of Moira, all of her main attacks you cannot block, however, you can eat her balls, which is very nice as her damaging ball is pretty annoying right now. I also forgot to mention Widowmaker. You can block all of her attacks, but not her Venom Mine. But you can use timed blocks for when she's shooting, providing she's going to full charge. Anyway, I hope this helps everyone, and please like and subscribe if you enjoy our content.